Hello my friends and welcome to Life Expansion. Thank you very much for coming along. I'm Jason Stephenson as always, and my trusty companion Dharma. And today we're out here to save the world. Well, not really, but begin of course by saving ourselves and then hopefully changing the way humanity is. So before I keep going, I'd just like to welcome you all, welcome those on the live stream now, and also those that are watching later. I never forget you. Thank you very much for joining, and I realize it's a not good timing for some and it's okay for others, so it's all good. I'm just going to check out and see who's here and see if you can hear me okay. Hello. Hi Adele and Seal and Tanya, thank you for being here. Heather, hello Cat Mama, Christina, and Gret, hello. Hello delightful Nell, who created Dharma's pillow here. Thank you very much, Nell. Hello Eva, Ginny, Peggy, Rachel. Lovely to see you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hope you've got your cup of tea ready, or your, I don't know, probably some might have a glass of wine, some might have a water. Coming in loud and clear, fantastic. Hi Donna. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all doing very well. And if you haven't been here before, welcome. Blueberry tea, Seal's got. Hey Jeff from Texas. I was going to say, if you haven't been here before, where are you from? Just so we can... And Tanya won a darts team. Good on you, Tanya. Oh, great, Jeff. Great. Jeff says he's loving the book from your contest. Good on you, mate. Glad you enjoy. Hello, Quiet Meditations and drinking green tea with honey. Ooh, I've had green tea, but I haven't had green tea with honey. I'm going to have to try that sometime. April. Hi, April. And she's feeling much better than last week. Great to hear. Great. Wow. As always, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to sit with you guys. And today is a real informal discussion. However, it comes with a lot of vulnerability, and possibly vulnerability from you as well, because we're going to be speaking a lot about emotional pain, vulnerability, and joy. And yeah, sometimes things that I might discuss, I can even get a little bit uncomfortable with myself, but I think vulnerability is all about putting ourselves... Hi Giza and Patty. Thank you very much, Patty. Hi Livy. Vulnerability is all about putting ourselves out there and exposing ourselves as imperfect human beings. Imperfect yet worthwhile, beautiful, whole, complete. And I've just switched to my notes here so I can see where I'm up to. And what I want to do is, I don't know how many of you have read Brené Brown's work, or any of her work, but I am going to copy and paste this in because I've been reading her book, Daring Greatly. And I'm going to, see if I can copy this and paste this in. And enter that, and I'm an affiliate Amazon, so if you do purchase from my link, just to let you know that I do get a tiny commission, very tiny, but all the same, anyway, it helps to feed my dog. But Brené Brown's book, Daring Greatly, I'm going to be quoting a couple of quotes from her work. I love her work dearly. Talking about vulnerability, she studied this topic, and she's an expert on this topic. And the book Daring Greatly is so worth an investment, my friends, if you haven't read it. Man's got to make a living. Indeed we have. Where is the treats for Dharma? Angret, I've got them up here. He's had a few of them already. You watch. He's deaf, but sometimes he's selective deaf, and he can hear these. Just see if this works. I don't know if you can see him. He can be as deaf as anything, but he's finally attuned to hear food. There you go, good boy. And see, Dharma's vulnerable, putting himself up here week after week too, I might add. So what is vulnerability? Well, to me, it's about putting ourselves out there, showing up, warts and all, who we are. And when we do that, we're exposing ourselves to so many things. We're exposing ourselves to, to be rejected, but also to be loved. We're just putting ourselves out there. But in doing so, in being vulnerable, the other side of that is we get to experience more joy, because we're getting to express and accept and embrace the full gamut of our emotions. And when we can begin to do that, to open ourselves up, to expose ourselves, we're getting to recognize, I guess, the 100% full potential of what life has to offer and all of our emotions. And that we are not just this, or we're not just that, but we're the whole expansion, if you like. I put in here that wouldn't it be amazing if we were all prepared to be vulnerable? Because if we're all prepared to be vulnerable, it would be so much easier for everyone to be vulnerable. Because quite often outside we put on this mask, persona, that to protect ourselves, to cover ourselves up to who we truly are. And so I think how do we do this is the only way through any sort of pain, or the only way to deal with it is to push through it. We can't escape it. Some of you might have heard me talk about I do this on webcasts, etc. My diagnosis with HIV. This is still an absolute vulnerable moment, and for moments for me to speak of. Whenever I still say that, I still recognize that there's work to be done inside, because it takes my breath away. I've got to go back to breathing, because there's still a twinge of shame and guilt with that. And until I really sit 100% comfortably with that, I'm going to be embracing myself to talk about it more, because for this first so many years of it, I lived with so much shame and guilt, and certainly would never ever talk about it with anyone. It's something that I hid. And interesting, it's just a thing, isn't it? If someone happens to get an illness of any kind, usually we don't have to hide it. Why should we hide it? It's not the be-all and end-all, but we certainly don't have to suppress it, because whilst we're suppressing that, we're beginning to numb ourselves more and more and more. So the only way out of that is to begin to open up. And the more we lean into that pain, the more we lean into to shame or to guilt, just to let it go, to lean into it, the greater the joy will open up at the other side. Because the less we'll have of this, it'll be exposed. Once something's exposed, it's released, it's let go of. And of course, being vulnerable, it's not about feeling sorry for ourselves. It's not all about that. It's being truthful to ourselves and to the world, so we can begin to let go. to embrace our imperfections, that we're all human beings. It's interesting when children are imperfect, we are quite comfortable with that. You know, we even laugh at them. We love them for their imperfections. And something happens along the way when we become adults, and our imperfections are shunned, suppressed, quietened, not admitted. And it's time that we can let go of this and we can get back to just who we are. And we don't, excuse me a moment. We don't have to worry too about being stuck in thoughts of, that we're stuck in this thought over and over again of some sort of pain or something that happened in the past or whatever. We don't have to be concerned about that, because if we practice mindfulness, meditation, we begin to become aware of our thoughts. We begin to become aware of how much we are thinking, that this thought keeps coming all the time, and we keep bringing ourselves to the present moment. Thus, we begin to release that and recognize that it's only a thought. It is not you and I. It's a passing thought. And just a little bit about that, a bit more on that. The emotional pain. Hold on, how am I going to say this? So we recognize the emotional pain. We can lean right into it. I've kind of got lost here, I was going to say there. I'll leave that thought. I'll come back to that. That's a vulnerable moment. That's an imperfection, okay? But what do we do? Well, we sit with it. We sit with it in meditation, and it begins to dissipate after practicing the meditation over and over again. We begin to release it. We begin to let go. However, if we don't do this, the other side to all of this is to numb the pain. And so much of this happens, we numb the pain through addictions, through gambling, through shopping, through drinking, through playing computer games, through buying shoes, through social media, particularly Facebook. And all the while, we're screaming out for a deeper connection, a deeper longing to fit in, to be loved. You know, some of you may know that I had an 8-week break from Facebook and from drinking in one go. I just stopped it all. I'd had enough. I was beginning to drink, should I say excessively? Well, it was excessively enough for me. It was to recognize that, hold on a minute, I better stop this. I better slow this down, because this will end up becoming a problem. So I stopped completely and stopped Facebook. And of course I was here in South Australia, where I don't have many friends. So I was exposed to who I am, and there was no escaping. Here I was on my own, no running to social media, no drinking to try and block it out, just me and my dog being. And there was a moment when I became very lonely. And I haven't suffered with loneliness much at all, because I love my own company. I enjoy my own company. And of course, the first thing I wanted to do, I remember calling a friend and saying, I want a drink. I want a drink. And I thought, well, it's not going to happen. And so I said, if any time I wanted a drink, I want to drink now. Of course, to numb that difficult feeling. And I didn't have a drink, so I sat with that feeling of loneliness. I just sat there. And I felt it. I felt it all. And in feeling it all, I stopped and said, okay, I feel lonely. What next? And so what happened was I got up and decided to go for a walk. And in replacing, I guess, that mind-numbing drink with a walk, with a beautiful walk outside, there was no more loneliness. It vanished. So it was just that embracing, just that acceptance of that moment and not trying to numb it. And it was release. And I love this, what Brené Brown states. I'm going to read this out. This is beautiful. We can't selectively numb. When we numb the difficult emotions, the painful ones, we numb everything. We numb joy. We numb gratitude. We numb happiness. I love that. So there's no point in trying to numb this and numb that, because then you're not living to your fullest joy and potential and everything that there is out there for you, for us. Begin to treat ourselves with the full love and compassion that we deserve. And when we do that, when we begin to treat ourselves with all the love, all the compassion, that spills over, and that's when we can truly begin to give fully to others, to be present for them. I'd like to talk about, there's so many on Facebook name and shame sites going on, these pages that they set up. And these pages are supposedly for if you get bad customer service, you're meant to publicly name the business. And then everyone chips in and says, I'm not going there, I'm not going there, I'm not going there. And the sad part about this is, there's so many sad parts, it's not funny. It might have been one person's bad day, and we don't know what's going on with their life. And when you publicly shame them out there on that platform, it can crumble the business and also present pain to all the other employees if the business falls. And I know this does happen, because I know in Wollongong, the city where I come from, I know it's happened there where a business has collapsed because of this sort of behavior. And I get that it's not the best thing for a customer service to be angry or to be unhappy. I get that. And I think that can be directly taken up with the management. I don't think it has to be publicly aired. That's my personal opinion. And the truth is, that person that was that bad public servant is only in pain. And chances are just like customers themselves. Because let me tell you, I've been on both sides here, and there's a lot of customers that are in pain too. A lot of customers. I worked for Virgin Australia, and I remember one time there was a gentleman who we were doing the rubbish clears because we were just about to come in for a landing, and we have to clear quite quickly. And he saw me coming, and he had an empty coffee cup there, and he, instead of handing me the coffee cup, he placed the coffee cup on the ground for me to bend over and to pick that coffee cup up. Now, that was when I first began the job, so I didn't say anything, I just picked it up and kept going. But it really hurt me and angered me at the time. I was a little angry one back then. Internalized it, of course. But when I think about it now, I think that that man must have been in so much pain, so much self-hatred to have to do something like that in the first place. So another thing is customers come in on their phones, and they might want something from you, and it's just like, click, 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 and trying to get your attention while talking on their phone and treating you like an object, not like a human being. And I see this so much. This is happening in shops around the places, of people just disregarding the service that they're receiving and not treating the person as a human. We need to be aware of this, and we can stop this. You know, we can stop this now by being aware of this, and next time you see yourself on the phone, if you're going in to do some customer service, just ask the person for a moment to just hold the line. Just stop for a moment. Give that person the respect they deserve. And it doesn't mean to go into a huge conversation with them. It just means to give them the respect they deserve, as you would like to be treated. It's just something to remember. I'm just reading some of the points here. Don't recognize loss anymore. See the gratitude for the amazing gift of our experiences. And of course, you know, I get that it's up to us to overcome this, you know, and to have no expectations of how we are treated, to find the joy within ourselves. That's the place that we all want to be at. But we also all deserve to be treated with love and respect, and we need to treat others with love and respect. That's what we have control over. That we can control that. I think we need to, you know, smarten our act up and to be conscious of giving, because with this technology that's advancing so fast now, it's coming in at such a fast rate and we all glued to these iPads and phones everywhere we go. Everywhere you see it, especially in cities. And no one's looking up. And you see even people bumping into you sometimes because they got their head buried like that. They're not even watching where they're going. And it's supposed to be, social media is supposed to be about connection. However, there is some sort of a disconnect as well to what is going on in your present surroundings. It's just something to keep in our minds. So to feel more joy in our lives is to open ourselves up, to be more vulnerable, to be raw, to accept our imperfections and be who we truly are. To know that you are worthy, to know that you are beautiful and you are loved the way you are right now. To know that deeply. And I'd like to end with the question is, what makes you vulnerable? When do you feel vulnerable, at your most vulnerable?
Yet.
No, social media isn't going to go away. That's for sure. It's not going to go away. And look, let's face it, there's good parts. I wouldn't be here now talking about this awareness. And, you know, I wouldn't know about Brene Brown if it wasn't for social media. So I can't bag it all out. And you're right, it's about balance. It's about balance, and it's about awareness of where we use it and how we use it. Yeah, Del Silverman says, when bad guys do mass shootings, when people I trust lose my trust. Of course, Adele, and I think, you know, with that being said, you know, there could be moments of vulnerability that come up for any time you're at school. Just that thought alone can just, it's keeping you raw. And with the news media, you know, showing us all the bad things as well, they're planting that seed in our head even though it's going on, they make it even larger than what it is. Across the world, we're all seeing all these images, these horrific, frightening images. So they're already on file, like we can just pull them out very, very quickly. Jacqueline says, when you feel like you want to get away, do you pack your things and leave with no money or clue what's out there, or do you stay? Deal with it or turn from it? What's out there? Are you willing to stay? These are great comments, my friends, and I've got to pull back here and see if so I don't lose these. And Seal says, when I fall for a guy, I'm not sure yet how he feels about me. That is when I feel the most vulnerable. Of course, when we put ourselves out there for love, when we say, I love you, we don't know what that person's going to say in return, if they are going to say it, if they're going to run. We don't know those things. Ginny says, when I'm alone and have to face memories that are horrid, when I am anxious and scared, and I'm vulnerable 24/7, Jacqueline says, yeah. And Jacqueline, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, Joquin. I hope that you are getting help, my friend. And if you are not getting help and you want help, drop me a line and I'll put you in touch with someone who might be able to help you there. Because if you're suicidal, yeah, that's not a nice place to be. Come up, quick. And Jay Lynch says, I don't watch TV or the news. Yes, quiet meditations when I go outside my safe zone to set to meet new people or go to new places. Totally. Livy says, I feel vulnerable when I'm mistreated and abused often. Hi Marjorie. Thank you very much for your support too. And Cat Mama says, when I have to depend on others, it's when she's most vulnerable. Oh, Joaquin. Oh my, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that. And Wendy says, I feel vulnerable, Jason, when I'm on my own for too long. Joaquin. Before, Tanya says, before I started my first video, I felt very vulnerable. Joaquin, hitchhiking around the world seems nice. Oh my goodness, absolutely. Absolutely. I just hope that you can get to do that sometime. I hope you can get the chance for that. I'm sure that would be a life-changing experience. Joaquin. Hey Paul. Wow, must be late for you, my friend. So as you can see here, when people admit their vulnerability, you hop up there, he wants to get under the blanket. We're all vulnerable. We're all vulnerable in all different aspects of our life. You're most welcome, Jeanette. And Megan says, right now at this point in life, continuing transitions in career and financial insecurity, so I feel ashamed and withdrawn. Yes, I am doing Facebook Live tomorrow, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's Australia, that's Sydney time, 5 p.m. So if you can just look up the World Time Buddy, you'll be able to get that time. Sleep not happening for Paul. Eric says, love is terrifying. You don't know how the other feels. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes it's a guessing game. Love. And you're putting yourself out there. You're exposing yourself. And you know, we never know when that partner could turn around and reject us and walk away. And that's the amazing part of love, is you've got this intense, beautiful part. And the other side is that something can just happen like that and change, because we don't have control over that other person. And so love in itself, every single day of our lives, is vulnerable. Lee says, so many of us from different parts of the world sharing our feelings and our vulnerabilities. Much love and light to you all. Jason, you're amazing. Thank you. And thank you guys. Thank you very much for sharing. And Angela says, preventative mental care and true self-acceptance needs to be addressed as a worldwide fundamental issue in health. I totally agree, and I agree that we can start this through schools and education. I think we're getting closer to that. I think that's beginning to happen in little pockets. We're recognizing that it's not all about maths and science and English, and that there's more in communication topics and in relationship topics. And so slowly we are beginning to change. But then again, if it's not at schools, then we as parents, or people that are parents, we can take this on ourselves. Rachel says, Jason, you are inspiring us to be vulnerable and real. It's your authenticity that is so magnetic. Thank you. Joaquin says, we are all humans. We are all vulnerable to love, pain, all sorts of things. When do we know what's going on around us that might make us feel a certain way? I'm not here, I'm certainly not going to answer these questions, but I think these are questions that we can ask ourselves. And that when there's no guarantees in life, and I think the sooner we accept this, that opening ourselves up to that there's no guarantees in life is a beautiful platform to begin to operate from. Because then we're dealing with what comes our way, moment by moment. Eva says, when I was in a coma, my husband took my finances. I was the one that worked too. A year later, I couldn't remember him. I lived in my vehicle for a while now, and I own a business. Still challenging. Commend you for being here now, for going how far you've come. And Christy says, anything outside of my comfort zone, which is basically everything. And isn't that some truth right there? Marjorie says, if only the world can reunite as one and love each other unconditionally without judgments, like the song John Lennon sang. And this is why we can begin to do this, my friends. Because then when we do this, we're giving others permission to do the same. And I think Barbara said, when are you doing TED Talks? And hi Jamie, welcome my friend. I'm in training at the moment to do a TED Talk. I haven't even put in my applications yet. It's happening, it's going to happen. And my preference is to do one in the USA. So I will keep you posted, my friends. I will certainly let you know. Group hug, Ginny, I agree. Hi Cal, lovely to see you too. The love is there, my friends, and it's up to each and every one of us now to go out there and to give it to the world. And to make every moment count. And in your, and I'll say this, yeah, be perfect in your imperfections. That it's okay. It's just okay. Just like as I said with the child, you know, we love a child's imperfections. We embrace when a child falls down and we have a bit of a laugh, and when they make mistakes, and we embrace that and we love them and adore them for who they are. We need to do that with ourselves as human beings, as adults. That we can love ourselves, who we are, through our faults, through all our faults, through all our mistakes. And we can get up, brush ourselves up, and we can move on and give ourselves a hug and say, hey, you did okay. You did okay. That's all we've got. Kim Mann says, thank you, Jason. Your music and meditations help me greatly on my journey to health. You're most welcome, my friend. So how are we to save humanity? Adele, by saving ourselves. By saving ourselves first. And by saving ourselves, that means by being vulnerable, by being open, by exposing who we are and allowing others to do the same. And only then can we begin to follow. Only then can people move on and realize that it's okay to be who they are, faults and all. To express the full range of emotions. If you begin to express that and to accept that and embrace that pain, embrace those really difficult situations, and in doing that, we begin to embrace the other side. We begin to have more joy because we're opening ourselves up to sunlight, if you like. We're living in balance, rather than pushing this side down, trying to reach for this side, pushing this side down, because whilst we're pushing this side down, as Brene Brown says, we're numbing all the sides, this side, that side, that side. We're not living to our fullest capacity of joy. I love you guys very much. I send you all the love in the world. Go out there, be vulnerable today, and give others the opportunity to be vulnerable themselves. So we send our love to you, and I don't know if Dharma's going to get up now, but I don't know if you can see Dharma there. I think you can see him. Just let me see this. Yeah, you can just see him. He's being vulnerable. He wants to get back under there. So my friends, much love. Background music is doing the trick. Good on you, mate. Bye-bye, Seal. Bye-bye, Patty. Command, Marjorie, Giza, Eva, Quiet Meditations. Bye-bye, Jamie. Much love to you all, guys, okay? Go out there and be you. You're worthy.